Hello everyone and welcome. So in this video I'm going to show you how important it is to focus on learning the concepts of programming instead of just the syntax of the language itself. Because if you learn a concept well, then you can apply it to any programming language that you might have not even really worked in before, but you'll be able to figure out the correct syntax if you know the concept that you need to use. So to demonstrate this, I have a simple JavaScript program right here. All it does is, and actually I'm going to, right now, I guess I'll just break it down exactly, and then we can take a look how we might do this in another language using the same concepts. So the first thing we do is we fetch this API. So I just have a small mock API running here, just JSON API, and it returns a list of users. And so we're going to get this big list of users, and then we're going to extract the users list or the users array. And then right here we just have a couple arrays to store that we're going to use to store some values later on in the program. So the next thing we're doing is looping over each of the users right here. That's what this does. So we're saying for let user of users. So we're also getting each user as we loop over it. So if we, the first time around this loop, it'll be user 1, the next time around it'll be user 2, and so on. So so the next thing we're checking is we're going to do a little if statement right here. We're going to see if the user age is greater or equal to 25 and the user age is less than or equal to 45, then we are going to execute this code in here. This code in here, we are extracting a few of the properties from the user, such as the age, name, email, and website, and then we are saving that in the parsed user object that we are making right here. And then we are simply adding this object with this user data to the parsed users array, and we are also saving the user's age in the user ages array. Now down here we are printing out the parsed users, and we are also calculating the average and printing the average age of those users using this function up here. So this function simply takes a number array. We are defining a total right here and then looping over the array and adding the values of each of the numbers in the array to the total, and then we are getting the average by dividing the total by the length of the numbers array. So yeah, that's all this program does. That's all of the logic behind it. So if we run it right here, you can see that it prints out the users with the ages between 25 and 45, and it says the average age is 36. So that's the JavaScript program. Now I want you to take a look over here. Here's some Python code. Now let's scroll all the way back up to the top, and even if you have never seen Python before and you're just familiar with JavaScript, you can kind of tell. Check this out. This code looks very similar. So at the very top, we're importing a library, and this library in Python, we're using this to make the request. We're using Axios in JavaScript. We're using URLlib in Python. Then we're importing one extra one in Python, but we will get to that later. The next thing we're doing is defining a function to calculate the average using an array of numbers or a list in Python. It does the exact same thing for all intents and purposes. This logic is exactly the same. You can tell pretty much just by looking at it. We have a variable to hold the total. We are looping over the numbers in the list. We're adding the number value to the total, and we are calculating and returning the average right here. Now down here, the next part where we get the API, you can tell it looks very similar. Of course, the syntax is different. It's a different language. It uses different libraries, but we are fetching this API. We are providing the URL to that API, and we are passing it into a function that will return the contents of the response. So we're getting the contents of the response, and then we are getting the users. And you'll notice right here, instead of just reading the response data, which is the contents right here. We actually have to pass the contents into this other function to convert it into a Python dictionary. And a dictionary in Python is very similar to a plain JavaScript object, which is kind of like what you see here. Just key value pairs. That's all it is. So we're getting all of the users. So this is an array of users. Each user, like I said, is very similar to this object, except it's a Python dictionary. Then we have a couple lists to store the parsed users and the user ages, and then we're looping over each of the users. So look, it's very similar to the JavaScript code. The only difference right here is or one of the differences rather, we are extracting the age right here because I didn't want to keep typing this syntax because it's a little bit more bulky than JavaScript. JavaScript is a bit more clean to access object keys or object values using the keys. But right here we are getting the age from the user. And then right here we are checking, my goodness, my mouse is being weird. We are checking to see if the age is greater than or equal to 25 and less than or equal to 45. Very similar syntax to JavaScript. Next, we are making that parsed user dictionary or object. If you are using JavaScript terms, you can see that syntax is nearly identical. We are getting the age, name, email, and website and saving it in that dictionary. And then we are appending that data to the parsed users list. Same thing for the age, we're just adding that up there. And then down here we are printing, excuse me, we are printing that user data and also getting the average age. So let's come down here and check this. And actually, we can close that JavaScript file now. So let's go to the Python, clear that, and we will say Python main.py, and you can see it does the exact same thing as the JavaScript program. Now, the syntax is, let's go back over here. Let's open up the JavaScript. It is different. It is very different, but it's also not very different. All of the concepts are exactly the same. So if you wanted to recreate this program and you didn't in another language and you didn't know that language, that's totally okay, because all you have to do is like go to Google and just look up whatever syntax you need. So like, for example, making a request in Python, I actually forgot how to do this before making this video. So all I did was come over here. Let's go to Google, how to make an HTTP request in Python. And let's look for a well-known site, like, well, Stack Overflow is good, or a free code camp, but you can find it anywhere. Just try things out, and some things will work, some things will not work, and you just gotta play around with it until you get it right. And that's totally normal. That's part of the process of learning how to do things with code. So this is the solution that I used from this user, Boris Verkovsky. Anyways, yes. So this is the answer I used, and I literally just copied that code over here, made it work. So that's really the most important thing when you're programming. Just make it work. You don't have to understand, at least not at first, you don't have to understand all the details of what's happening to make the code work. As long as it works and it works well, then you can focus on learning exactly why certain things are doing what they're doing. But get things working first, then get them working well, and then you'll start to automatically figure out, oh, okay, I see, I see why that's doing that. So yeah, it's really, concepts. If you learn the concept well, then you can apply it to any language, like I said. So let's look for another example here. So like looping over an array or a list, just look that up. Like, you'll get this exact answer. Look, loop over array in Python. Let's look for free code camp, for loops in Python. So look at this. It tells you exactly how to do it. For value in list of values, and then you can use that value in your code. So you don't have to worry about memorizing everything. I actually think it's better to memorize as little as possible. Just memorize the bare bones concepts that you need to kind of maintain a framework in your head to remember what kind of needs to happen to achieve the goal that you're aiming for. And yeah, that's just about it for this video. Unfortunately, I didn't get to record until very late at night, so I'm going to be doing the rest of the video tomorrow. I'm going to be recreating this program using the Perl programming language, which I have not used very much at all. Definitely have not made any HTTP requests or parsed any JSON in it, so it's going to be an interesting challenge, but I should be able to get it done. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.